Hi, welcome to Urban Insights. I'm Jayashree Guru. In her Budget 2025 speech, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman called out tourism as the sector for employment led growth. Now, this brought me back to the visit I had to the Gulab Haveli launch in Mandawa with the lead architect of this painstaking conservation and restoration project, Deepak Gehlot. He explained how the meticulous conservation of Gulab Haveli would have an impact on the entire Mandawa heritage precinct. This brings us back to what the finance minister is trying to say in Budget 2025. Deepak Gehlot explained how this entire conservation process took over 5 years and continued through the COVID years.
Well, we came in here first time, I believe, sometime in 2018, about that time. And the Haveli was in quite a bad shape. The owners had approached a few other architects also, but they were not able to solve the issue of how to bring in the services. And that's how we got involved for the first time, because we had done similar work earlier.
Okay.
And since then, it's been a rather long journey, both in terms of for us as well as the owners, because they were doing it for the first time. So there was a fair bit of learning they had to go through. And also we had to explain in more detail that why should we work on a systematic and a more authentic approach here.
Okay.
Luckily, the son was quite appreciative, and he was somebody who had the vision, and he could realize what the future could be for this place. It took a few years. It went slow. COVID came in between. All of that happened, but the work continued, during breaks. And there was a bit of a struggle in bringing in the people who would restore the work. The typical people who had the experience, like the contractors, were turning out to be far too expensive to do a work like this at this scale.
Yeah.
So we did bring in people who were locals, people who were working by their own hands. The owners managed to arrange a set of 3 or 4 really good people who then worked through the project and were able to bring this up to the stage that we are talking about.
Okay.
Then there was the issue of bringing in a conservation expert, because we wanted to look at how many walls could be opened up and so on. And also somebody who really understood line. So that's when we brought in Dr. P.K. Jain. And we then brought in a conservation expert for the murals, which was Minalini. So we put together a nice team.
At the launch, the Minister for Culture and Tourism, Mr. Gajendra Singh Shekhawati, spoke about the importance of such conservation projects on the tourism landscape of the Shekhawati region.
सो विरासत से विकास की तरफ जाने का अद्भुत उदाहरण ये गुलाब हवेली का रिस्टोरेशन एंड आई विश दैट बाय डूइंग दिस एंड द रिस्टोरेशन ऑफ दिस टाइप ऑफ हवेलीज with beautiful frescoes and history and legacy in this Shekhawati area is going to boom the tourism in this part of Rajasthan. After Modi ji's intervention, I've started looking towards roof, and as India is prospering continuously with this prosperity, the values for India and the knowledge which has come out of India, the legacy of India, the history of India is getting respect all across the world. The perception of looking towards India is entirely changed. So I look a very good future for the conservationists who are being trained because of this type of restoration, and I see that there is going to be a wonderful future of the conservationists in all the formats and forms of the heritage conservation.
Keeping the owners invested in the expensive project was also a task. Modernizing the experience even while conserving the past was another big challenge.
Then the question was, what kind of interior should we be looking at? Typically, in a building like this, you would find people doing the traditional interiors. The idea then was to look at if you could bring in a contemporary sense of interiors so that we could not only differentiate ourselves, but also attract the younger crowd, which is now traveling a lot. And the crowd that has traveled internationally and understands design a little better. I had to rethink a little bit, and we decided to go with a more contemporary interior, which is when we approached Studio Lotus. For them, it was a very small project, but it was an exciting project, so they did agree to get involved.
Yeah.
So overall, we brought together a good team, worked through the various phases. One of the key issues was, of course, keeping the owner engaged, because there was a fair bit of money that was going in, and keeping them motivated enough to not exit and sell, which I think, as you can see today, he's quite happy.
Yeah.
Everybody's quite, the properties come out well.
Yeah.
All the challenges that we face, you don't see any of it. You just see a nice property. You have no idea which wall is there, how doors were brought in at what point of time, how the places were made more livable, and most importantly, how was the air conditioned, how was the toilets built in, because there were no toilets inside at all.
Yeah.
Then as far as the back of the house was concerned, when we decided to go at this scale and this quality of work, then we realized that we needed a good food outlet. And the current what we had available was not large enough. So the owners decided to buy a plot next doors, which was available, and we built a new building completely from basement to 4 floors in the traditional style with a rooftop restaurant.
Conservator Mrinalini Bangru explains how the work was executed over many years. The challenges were many and the process was painstaking, but success was there at the end of the tunnel.
The owners of the way impacted me and they asked me to complete that restoration work. When I used to work, I had to face a lot of problems like capillary water action problem, and then all the paintings were in bad shape. It all was caught there somewhere they are hidden under the heavy layers of dust and dirt, and somewhere the color was converted to from oxide to sulfide, but still and free ticket was available to her by the grace of God, and deal it up I got found that view.
What are the unique features of this Haveli and its art?
Basically, here the kalam, we used to call it as kalam. Here it is the kalam is Shekhawati kalam. Like when you travel to this Kullu Manani and all that, here the kalam is different, and even Kishangarh kalam is different. The Shekhawati kalam is typical of different type. Here the features are totally of different type, and similarly, as you might know, the Shekhawati is known as the Bub of fresco paintings. It is like France, and they are making their cities like that. But here, which is a lying city with the heritage painting. So these are the unique features of the piece. And here the colors are very vibrant. Even after like 280, 300 years old, Havelis are having sharp colors.
How do the colors remain so good so long?
Because they are pure stone colors.
However, the beauty and perfection of the heritage art has been restored meticulously.
That is, in local language, it is called as ala dila, ala jilan. On the wet surface, they used to make France drawings, and the drawings they want to be created. First of all, with the line, the world was created. With 3 layers of line, Arisio, Antonabo, and Intronakil. And over it, they used to make the Faunce drawing. Then, after when it is dried, here in India, they used to weave it the plaster and used to make drawings.
For Mrinalini and her team to restore the paintings, a lime expert had also to work alongside. That was Dr. P.K. Jain, a seasoned professional.
आप इसको लगा लीजिए, निकल जाएगा।
ये निकलेगा नहीं? What's its life?
नहीं तो अगर आपको कोई इसको पंच नहीं करे तो कोई दिक्कत ही नहीं। आप देख लो ना कितने साल पुराना। It will not wash away ना। ये कितनी ओल्ड है? 150 साल, 150 या 2। नहीं ये सनलाइट से भी फेड इतना हुआ नहीं होगा आगे, नहीं होगा क्योंकि सनलाइट से फेड क्यों? नेचुरल लाइम बेस्ड है।
Yeah, but the blue color है इसमें, तो that is because
That is the problem कि हम आप ब्लू कलर नहीं मारे, कलर तो ब्लू स्टोन होता था। हाँ, हमारे पास 2 कलर की प्रॉब्लम है, ब्लू और ग्रीन।
main वही problem right?
ना उड़ जाते हैं। आज के जो कलर आते हैं उड़।
What was it earlier? Crushed stone.
हाँ स्टोन है, इस स्टोन के अलावा ये प्रेशियस स्टोन तो कलर है को बोलते हैं गऊ होने लास्ट से हम अंदर से पीला निकल गया पीला रंग हाँ तो वो तुम मजा करते।
Mr. Shekhawati, the Minister for Tourism, attributed a large part of the success of domestic tourism to the development of transport and communications infrastructure across India.
The way infrastructure for communication and computation all across India is devised and completely revamped. With that, the prospects for tourism have increased, and simultaneously, the way Indian economy is growing, the domestic tourism potential is also growing continuously, especially the middle income group, which is continuously increasing. The size is getting bigger and bigger, and that is an aspiring class, and that aspiring class has started coming out of their houses for recreation. And simultaneously, globally the trend to in tourism is changing especially after COVID. The people have started looking for experiential tourism rather than monumental tourism. So now people wish to experience the legacy, the nature, the heritage, and the different aspects of experiential tourism. So I wish and I expect a beautiful and wonderful future for these type of restored properties all across the country.
In her budget speech, the Finance Minister announced that the top 50 tourist destination sites in the country will be developed in partnership with the states through a challenge mode. Land for building key infrastructure would also have to be provided by the states. Hotels in those destinations will be included in the infrastructure. The tourism minister too had a very positive message to give to the sector.
As far as the tourism is concerned, Indian tourism is going to grow by double of the total speed of the growth of economy in India. That is somewhere around between 7 and 8%. And I can foresee that Indian tourism is going to grow by more than 15%, and the CAGR will be more than 22%.
For Gehlot and his team, this restoration may well define the prospects of the entire heritage city of Mandawa.
This Haveli changing the townscape here.
Facilitating this are the budgetary measures. The following measures will be taken for facilitating employment led growth. Organizing intensive skill development programs for our youth, including in institutes of hospitality management. Providing mudra loans for homestays. Improving ease of travel and connectivity to tourist destinations. Providing performance linked incentives to states for effective destination management, including tourist amenities, cleanliness, and marketing efforts. Introducing streamlined e visa facilities along with visa fee waivers for certain tourist groups. Thank you so much for watching Urban Insights. Do keep visiting us. This budget has been revolutionary. There have been a lot of cues in this budget, and we at Urban Insights will keep picking up these cues and figuring out how this impacts Indian industry. Thank you so much.